we've been working on. We had a really cool thing here with Michael Cassidy last week, so we've got Michael Cassidy back here again today. And today we're going to be talking about back health and how you can maintain your back health as a work from home person or in the office or whatever. So, how are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing really well. My back's feeling good. Thanks for having me on here again. And I think you've had some back things in the past as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to talk with you and answer questions. If anybody has any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them. And
Yes, we
yeah,
do
I'm
have the
excited.
chat open. And yeah, I was kind of excited to take on this one because I've had two herniated discs in my lower back
Right.
15 years ago. I'm an old man. Now that I say that out loud, I'm like, it's been 15 years. What? But yeah, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you have to really pay attention to, especially as tech worker. You're generally sitting at a desk. I mean, we don't climb up telephone poles and, and things like that. So we have to find ways to be active and stretch
Yeah.
often and things like that. And so I think we're all going to learn something today. I know I'm going to learn something, and this will be really fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, and then so you and I both had herniated discs in the past, and one of the worst things, or one of the things that felt the worst, was sitting down. Sitting for me, sitting was the worst position I could be in, and I think that can kind of offer us some advice, maybe on what we want to do to prevent back issues and to kind of alleviate back issues. With that being not sitting down so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when I first had my injury. I was working at a tech job, and they had standing desks there, thankfully.
Mhm.
But one of the awkward things was in meetings, and this is still to this day. There's sometimes I'll be in meetings when I go down to Utah, and I want to stand up during the meeting while everybody's sitting down, like at a
Yeah.
conference table or something. And so it's a little bit awkward, but after a while, you just kind of you get used to it, and you're like, well, this is what I prefer to do. I'm going to stand,
Yeah.
but
That
yeah, absolutely. Sitting can be brutal when you've had injuries.
right. Yeah, I know you wouldn't think of, like, working at a tech job at your desk would be dangerous, but it kind of is for your lower back in the sense of, like, a chronic condition. Um, so, yeah, so sitting, if, that's probably sitting for long periods of time is, associated with, um, a risk in certain diseases and even premature death. But not only that, but it's not good for your back to be sitting in a stagnant position for so long. Um, and like Mason just said, sitting is the new smoking, and that's true. There's all kinds of risks associated with prolonged sitting. Sitting for a few minutes here and there is fine. It's good to take breaks and that kind of stuff. But movement is key. We were made to move, and the less we do of that, the more we kind of deviate from what we're supposed to be doing, and thus it leads to issues down the road. Um, so I guess maybe we could first talk about movement. Um, and for me, that's been one of the biggest factors in improving my back pain and keeping it kind of away. So one thing I invested in was a sit stand riser, so I can sit and stand at my desk. That's probably the biggest thing I've done to avoid sitting. Um, and so that's been a huge benefit to me. And then, like last episode, I talked about fitness snacks. And today, I'd like to talk about a few specific movements or exercises that people who work at desk jobs might want to do to alleviate some back pain and maybe put them into a better posture. Um, and then we can kind of get into posture as well if you want, and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that so that fitness snacks that you brought up last week was really interesting, and so I was kind of in the back of my mind as I was thinking before this of like, I wonder if there's going to be some sort of back health snacks. I mean, it doesn't sound as catchy, right? But
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I actually I found a pretty cool study from 2018. This is related to fitness snacks. It was about how squatting, in particular, is good for your brain health, and obviously it's good for your back for movement too. But this particular article found that like the pressure, um, this intermittent change in blood pressure we get from squatting, from that movement, that oscillating going up and down, challenges the brain, and the brain produces chemicals that creates new brain cells. And actually, this study was brought to my attention from Faye Ellis, another person here at Pluralsight.
yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a cool study. So I talked about it today. Squatting for like 3 minutes a day, and even just doing it 3 times a week. So 9 minutes. You just need 9 minutes, and you can make some new brain cells. So the one that's besides the point, but it does have to do with fitness snacks, and what I'd like to show everybody about maybe some fitness snacks specifically for back health. So I, everyone watching, I don't know if you want to join in, but I'm going to try to demonstrate this. It's called a thoracic bridge. I do these. I sometimes step away from my desk and do these. It really opens up the thoracic region, and a lot of people lack mobility in their thoracic spine, and this can lead to all kinds of problems. And obviously, sitting for prolonged periods of time can lead to tightening muscles and less mobility. So I'm going to show you this one really quick. I hope you can see. I'm going to see if this works. I haven't tried this, so this is going to be the first time. Okay, so here's my desk. Here we are. I don't know if you can see me. Okay, I'm going to try this. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, no, it'll work.
yeah, we can see you.
Okay, so you're on all fours, hands on the ground. Take your knees off the ground. You put one leg through, and you leave your chest as close as you can to the ground, and you kind of flex at the glutes. And so I've kind of like opened up my upper back, and then you go back and forth like this. So yeah, it's kind of a silly looking exercise, but for me it really helps open my back up. It kind of, it's getting me moving. Another one, I'm going to show one more. So a lot of times we lack like balance as well between muscle groups. So antagonist muscle groups. And what I mean by that is having, so, your chest pushes, your back pulls. So it's kind of an antagonist relationship. So I'm going to do one more here. You can see me. It's just a stretch, but you keep like a straight back, and I just kind of put my chest down to the ground, kind of opening up the chest area. And when you sit up straight, you're opened up. You can breathe easier. If your head is up, if your head is straight, and you don't have that forward head position, that's good too. You don't want to stay in like anatomical positions, and that's one of the big things with sitting, is when we're hunched over, our spine isn't in alignment. And so that's, over time, that can lead to disc issues itself. We have the discs in our back. It's kind of like a jelly-like substance. And so, it squishes and if it's not in alignment, you can have issues down the road. So that's kind of just one example of an exercise that I like to use to kind of open up my upper back and just help with my posture, gets me out of my desk, gets me moving. I don't know what people think about that, but I think it's a good exercise.
Yeah, it looks like pretty positive responses here in the chat.
And well, one more thing, I probably should have said this before. Always, check with your doctor before you try any of this stuff. I think that's probably a good idea. And this advice we're giving out is, just our opinion. So check with your doctor as usual before you try any of this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And so let's see in the chat here. We do have a question. Oh, is this recording available anywhere so I can share it later? Yes, we are recording this, and we will make that available. And let's see if there's any other questions. Brian says, I do what Damian Bankhead calls sissy squats due to my lower back issues from time in the Army. Are you familiar with sissy squats? I'm
Yeah,
not
I
really
am. I
sure.
am familiar with sissy squats. I do them. It's something you kind of have to work into. It's I guess I could demonstrate. Your back stays, if I'm right, Brian, your back kind of stays in a more upright position, and you really get down low and you work on your your quads, specifically your VMO. Let me see if I can do this right. So Brian, you're saying something like that, Brian, right? I th- I th- I'm fairly positive that's what he's talking about. So that really works your quads and keeps your back in a more neutral position. Um, those are cool. You just gotta make sure you work into something like that. It could hurt certain people's knees, joints if you're not used to it. So like with a lot of these with any exercises, you wanna work into it. You wanna warm up. You don't wanna just go straight into it. Do what you can. If you feel any pain, stop. I kind of believe in. I don't believe in no pain, no gain. If you're feeling any pain, that's a sign from your body. It means something. You should listen to that and adjust. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it could be like a rusty old door hinge, that
yeah,
that you first open it, the first time you open it, it's really rusty, but if you're opening this door every day, eventually it cleans up. That's kind of how I think of my joints sometimes when I do certain exercises. If it hurts, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I haven't opened this door in a long time, so I should
yeah,
go
right.
gentle with it.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy. I like that. That's cool. Um, so another thing, so we kind of we talked about a movement, posture. I kind of mentioned alignment. Power squat with no extra. Okay. Um, I keep reading the
Oh,
comments now. So with the alignment, I talk about keeping your spine in kind of like an anatomical position. Obviously, you don't want to. If you're just sit there all day, you're just sitting there not getting any movement. It's good to intentionally move your spine and gain mobility and things like that in a safe way. Um, one method that I think is kind of interesting is called the Gok method. The whole theory is like in a more so as we've gotten further in modern society, a lot of people are hunched over, and it's kind of had an effect on our spine. Our spine is kind of taking. We have that hunched over upper
yeah,
back kyphosis, and then that maybe a more swayed lower back, which is in lordosis, and a little bit of that curve is fine, but we've kind of accentuated that over time just from bad posture and sitting. So the Gok method, it talks about like a J-shaped spine where you have a little bit of lordosis, but then you're relatively straight up and down in the back. And it's just something people might want to look into. Just about having how good posture is important for back health.
yeah, absolutely. And do you have any kind of tricks for reminding yourself to have good posture?
Um,
I've always tried to think of ways to because I'll find myself doing that, like during a Zoom meeting or something. I'm like, start kind of, a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
starts to
definitely.
sag, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, I always have to remind myself. It's something I can. So I used to set up reminders on my phone. I think I had this app called the Remind Me app, and it just like notified me random times during the day, and it would send me a message, "Hey, sit up straight." Another thing that I've done is I stand up really straight, and then you have someone put a piece of like painter's tape or some kind of tape that's not going to rip your skin off on your upper back. So you stand in good posture, put the tape across your back, and then every time you start to slouch, the tape tightens, kind of reminding you to sit back up straight. That's something I've done in the past. Um, it's kind of one tip. Oh, there's one more thing I like to do. These are sitting in front of me. I have these resistance bands. I don't know if you've seen these, but they're super versatile. And one thing I like to do is band pull aparts. Um, and so to do these, you can do these seated. And I just pull the band apart. I sit up straight and I pull the band apart. And It kind of strengthens my upper back muscles, and then when I'm done doing that, I feel like I'm sitting up straight.
Yeah, love fitness bands.
Yeah.
I don't have mine at my desk, but I have one of the they're flatter. It's like a flat piece of stretchable plastic.
Oh,
And,
okay.
really cool because I can like close it in the door and do this
Ah,
and things like that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
the
I like
fitness
I
bands are
like doing
great.
extra. I sometimes tie my band up and then I do like external rotations with my band. I like that too. You know, there you can do so many things with them, and I think that's the great thing to utilize if you want to do like fitness snacks. There are plenty of different exercises you can do with these bands. Step away from your desk, do some of that stuff and come back. And then you can get, you know, it's not super expensive. You can travel with these resistance bands as well. And so I think it's a great tool and something that's worth investing in if you don't want to, you know, buy a bunch of dumbbells or Bowflex dumbbells or whatever.
Yeah, that's great advice, especially with so many people working from home. Um, I've talked with a lot of people that are like, I would love to set up a home gym, but I have no room for that. There's a lot of people like we've all kind of been there where it's like every space of my house is taken up, and so
Yeah.
something like fitness bands is great because that requires very little space.
Yeah. Yeah, I always bring them with me when I travel. A lot of times if I'm staying at a hotel, you know, there are so many times I go to a hotel and they're like, you know, world-class fitness gym or whatever, and then it's like a treadmill and, you know, that's it. So I like to bring my bands in case that happens and I can still get in like a good workout, in a short amount of time and not take up a lot of space.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a question here from Mason. Are there any great applications that help track my fitness snacks?
Tracking your fitness stacks. Well, I did, I started a community today actually. It's called the Active in Tech community where I do give out a lot of different fitness snacks that people can try. Um, if you want to check that out, you can. Otherwise, great apps that help me track my fitness snacks. I don't know of any other apps that do that. Um, but I've been talking about fitness snacks for quite a while now, and I kind of have a library of them. I think that you can do a lot of things with fitness snacks. You can do strength training, more strength training with your body weight or with resistance bands, or even if you have dumbbells, things like that. You can work on mobility. You can work on flexibility. I think just getting up and moving is is the most important thing. And I know studies have kind of shown that it's it's even if you have that, like, block time where you do work out later in the day, like, I like to do, like, an hour 45-minute to an hour-long workout later in the day. Um, Studies have shown that it's still important to get up and move during the day, like, you're not just gonna undo all the damage from sitting if you just do this, if you're just taking 1 hour out of the other 23 hours to do something, it's still important to do other things during the day, and especially in terms of back health.
Yeah, definitely. And there are some apps out there um, that come with devices like Fitbit and Garmin. Like I'm wearing a Garmin
Mhm.
right now, and it has. I just brought up if I can find it.
Yeah, that's
But
a
it,
good
it
point.
has an app on it that tracks your heart rate, and so
Mhm.
that's one of the ways that I look at it. If I see my heart rate going for a long period of time, it's like, oh, that must have been a time where I was sitting at my desk and just like zoned in. And but if I see it, go up a little bit a couple of times, like once an hour, then it's like, okay, that must have meant that I got up and it did things.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, I actually recently got an Aura Ring, and that tracks a bunch of different things like your heart rate. It tracks how well you sleep. It gives you like a readiness score, and it tracks your like HRV, heart rate variability, and like all kinds of things. I recently got it, and it's been super helpful. And it reminds myself that I need to take breaks during the day. Like when I'm doing a lot of work on my computer, my heart rate still isn't sometimes come down to like it's very, a good resting heart rate because I'm like stressed out or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's important to take breaks. That's kind of another point as well. But um, yeah, there are some good apps that track those kinds of things.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I found the Pomodoro method to be really good for
Yeah.
is, and I know you mentioned that last week, and it's really good for productivity. You know, if I can remain focused for 25 minutes, I can get a lot done. And it, of course, that takes a while to train yourself, but at the
Mhm.
same time, at the end of that 25 minutes, I don't just like open up Reddit for 5 minutes. You know, I will get
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and walk, go get a thing of water, go, you know, even sometimes I'll just step outside and, oh, okay, it's sunny, fresh air, come back in. And so that Pomodoro kind of has a dual benefit in
Yeah,
productivity. And if you get up and move at the end of that 25 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever you choose,
right.
um,
Yeah.
it's really good.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. That's a good one, and that fits in perfectly if you do wanna do fitness snacks. I mean, they just take up 2 minutes of that 5-minute break and do a fitness snack. Um, that could be pretty good too.
Yeah.
Pause
Um,
right here.
how can tech workers set up their office a little bit to be more ergonomically friendly and more just better for back health? Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, I've had some questions about that too, but I know there are certain like keyboards that people recommend to keep their wrists in kind of a neutral position. Um, and obviously you want to have your screen set up so it's at eye level. Because you, like I said, you want a neutral spine. You don't want your computer to be too low or too high. That's going to throw you off after a while. I do like the sit stand riser. I have if you want to get a mini stepper or something like an under the desk treadmill, that's, a step above. If you really want to, get in your steps for the day or whatever. On my chair, I don't know, a lot of chairs for me lack lumbar support. So I have a little pillow just behind my lower back just to give me a little extra support. Just with my history of back pain in the past, I just like to have that there. um, Gosh, that reminds me of car seats. I feel like car seats are just terrible for your posture. They have that, I feel like the headrests are so far forward that if you do lean back, you're going to be like this, like driving in your car or whatever. Also, another point, sometimes I feel like office desks also have that issue. Some of them kind of push your head way too far forward if you do want to lean back. There are, so I have seen a few, obviously, you're putting pressure on your spine when you're sitting up straight, but it's a lot worse pressure when you're bent over like this. Another thing you can do, I can't work this way, but like if you can lean, gosh, I don't even know how to lean back my chair, but leaning back your chair puts less pressure on your spine as well. But that's, I can't really work like at a like 45-degree
Yeah,
angle back here. Um,
yeah,
so but yeah, and I think, your office setup is really important. Um, and posture in that setting is important as well. And movement. Those are, to me, those are the most important things. And then, I mean, we can get into things like nutrition. I think nutrition is important for back health too, or at least that's what I've discovered um, over the years. And I think the last time we talked, you kind of talked about that too. And so I guess I want to ask you, what's one of the things that you found that helped your back health in terms of consumption, nutrition?
so yeah, one of the biggest things for me has been hydration, and that kind of ties into nutrition. If you eat
Yeah.
salty foods or drink alcoholic drinks, you might have back pain later, but that is linked to dehydration. And when I had my injury, I was talking very closely with my doctor, and when he was talking about pain management, I said, "Well, I'm not going to do any painkillers of any type, um, and so what other options do I have?" And he was like, "Well, another option is to hydrate really well and, use ibuprofen or Tylenol, kind of alternate and use them in moderation, but he said hydration is just super, super important, more important than you think it will be." And so I started to drink water like wild, and I still have for the last 15 years. I showed you this earlier today, my goal gallon. I try to drink a gallon a day, and it makes a tremendous difference, not only in your back, but on all of your joints. You just
Oh
feel
yeah.
better being hydrated. And then I'll go out and have like a salty meal sometimes, and and it kind of throws me back. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
Yeah, hydration is
Yeah,
huge.
that's great. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I actually took this test at this new place called Human Powered Health. They do like this a lot of like fitness testing for athletes, and one of the things they did was a hydration test. And it was early in the morning, and I, like they did this test and they did it on my tongue, and I was like pretty dehydrated, and I was like, ah, shoot, I need to work on that. So for me, like drinking like 16 ounces of water, like right when I wake up, is something that I've been doing because that helps me get in more water throughout the day. And obviously, your water stores are less after you haven't been drinking water for however long you've been sleeping. Um, so yeah, that's a really good tip. Um, I if I drink tea, well, I think tea, different teas have a lot of different benefits. Green tea has a lot of antioxidants, and it's been studied a lot to have a lot of benefits there. I think the caffeine content's a little bit less than coffee. Um, I think coffee can be a little dehydrating, but I don't think there's really too many downsides of green tea unless you're getting like an overabundance of caffeine. Um, I don't know too much about like other kinds of teas. I've heard chamomile tea might help you go to bed. I don't know. But I think tea isn't a bad thing. Tea is a better alternative than compared to like pop, soda, or whatever. But water is the is super important for hydration. And another thing that I've discovered in terms of my helping my back health are healthy fats. Um, I feel like um, sometimes people tend to avoid fats because it's called they think it's going to make them fat or whatever because that's the word. Um, but I think eating healthy fats has helped me a lot in lubricating my joints. Even I found some studies about olive oil. Olive oil is a is known as a healthy fat, and that kind of helps to lubricate your joints. Omega threes, I don't know, omega threes are good too, um, and that kind of stuff. So I've definitely incorporated more healthy fats into my diet, um, and I think that's helped a lot with just my joint health and just feeling better. And you need help. You need certain fats to optimize your hormones and things like that as well. So I think you don't necessarily need to avoid like all kinds of fats.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was going to ask about is some of the you can take supplements for some of those things. And um do you have any supplements that you recommend for joints that can reduce pain or lubricant like
Um,
glucosamine, chondroitin, things like that?
Yeah, haven't taken too much of those. I've taken like hyaluronic acid before. That I'm not sure if it helped or not. Obviously with supplements too, you wanna make sure you're getting a real supplement that's ideally third party tested, um, and has what it says it has in it. I avoid like proprietary blends because then they can kind of hide how much of each specific ingredient they're putting in. Um, Curcumin, that's a really great supplement. Or turmeric, curcumin supplements. Those have been shown in studies, to help with inflammation and geez, all kinds of things. So that's one that I take. That I think helps. Fish oil, that's another good one too. Um, I do prefer whole foods, before any kind of supplements. Supplements are just that; they're supplemental to your an already healthy diet. So make sure your diet is good before you try to move on to things like supplements to replace things that should be in your diet. It's just kind of an addition. But I think fish oil is a good one to take as well. It has the good omega threes in it. I do prefer like fatty cuts of fish, but sometimes I don't eat as much fish as I would like to in my house. So that's a good one too. But that's a good one, Alexander.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and what about like stress management, do you think there's a link between stress and back pain? I guess that's kind of a silly question, but I guess what is your experience with
No,
that?
yeah, personally, that reminds me of an experience I just had. My family and I, we went to Disney World for the first time, and we brought our young children, and so we needed to bring all this stuff on there. We need to bring car seats and the stroller, I was just like, because I hadn't been to the airport with like my whole family before like that, and I was just like super stressed out. And I could feel I could feel it in my back. My back was just sore because I was so like stressed out. So that was a recent experience that I had with stress and back pain. Um, but yeah, I mean, stress is not a super great thing to have chronically. Um, we all have so much chronic stress these days because things are racing through our minds. It's good to step away from your computer and step away from technology. Put the phone down. Spend time with the people you want to and do the things you want to reduce your stress. Because, like I said, chronic stress doesn't lead to good things down the road. And I think in our fast-paced society, with all this technology surrounding us, it can be hard to step away sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your experience with that, Jeremy? With the stress?
Um, exactly the same as when I'm under stress. Things are really tight, muscles are tight, things like that, and sometimes I have to remind myself to stretch or to do something. And yeah, getting away from the computer that's one of the things I tell my boss once in a while when she's like, "What are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "Getting away from technology."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
as far
definitely.
away as I can, and yeah,
Yeah,
it is absolutely helpful, and I love technology, obviously, for what I do for a living, but, yeah, stepping away from all of it and, becoming a human again for, you know, tens of thousands of years, we operated a certain way, and then now in our lifetimes, it's like we're sitting in front of a computer all day. It just doesn't feel like we're doing the right thing, so,
yeah, right. I know. That's just it. You just have to. Technology is great. It gives us a lot of things, and we can even utilize it to tell us to go away from it. Set an alarm so your technology tells you to go away. And I think it's good to get away sometimes. Um, Alexander asked about CBD. I don't really have any experience with CBD. I mean, anecdotally, I've heard from some people that it alleviates some pain, but I can't really speak on that. Personally, I haven't tried it.
yeah, I would say the same thing. I have tried it, but I didn't notice a difference, and maybe I didn't take it long enough. However, I have spoken with a lot of people who say that it has helped with their pain, specifically like joint pain and back pain, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't rule it out. I just don't think it really helped me very much, and maybe it's just I took the little pills and they
Yeah.
weren't that
Yeah,
great.
and I think for supplements like curcumin, or turmeric, sometimes it takes a while for it to build up in your system and to get more beneficial effects. So I don't know if that's the case with CBD, but yeah, I know there's CBD oil. Do you put it on yourself? See, I don't know much about CBD. I should look more into that. Um,
Yeah, I do think they have
probably.
tinctures that you can, like,
Yeah.
put under your tongue or something, but yeah, definitely.
I
Oh,
guess there is one Alexander, you mentioned sleep, and I think sleep is one of the most important things for your health, but also for back health. Not only are you kind of restoring and recovering during the night and repairing things in your body, you're also laying down and letting your discs get more hydrated because you're compressing your discs all day when you're standing up. When you lay down at night, you allow your discs to kind of expand. And even become, I think it's called super hydrated by the time morning rolls around. That's why some people are a little bit taller in the morning, right when you wake up, because those that disc expansion, and I think that helps kind of bring in more nutrients and whatever you might need, hydration, so you can repair. tissues and things like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that you'd be a little taller in the morning, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I wish it would like accumulate over time, but it doesn't.
We would all be 20
We
feet
like
tall.
super yeah. Yeah. So yeah, sleep is important for everything. I think, uh, people vary. I think I talked about this last time too, people's how much sleep people need varies between person to person, but um prioritizing sleep is an important thing, especially for back health or for any kind of health.
Yeah, definitely, and it's one of those things where you've gotta listen to your body, and sometimes I'm not so great about that. I think probably all of us are, but
Yeah.
at a certain point, you start listening to your body, and it's like, "Oh, I feel like taking a nap in the middle of the day, because I'm so tired. Perhaps I'm not sleeping enough." You know?
Yeah. Uh Yeah, that's another thing I like about some of these wearable devices. They measure like your sleep quality, your what stages of sleep you're in, and I think that can lead to some insights in what you might want to change or things you can do to get better sleep.
White noise.
Yeah.
I discovered white noise generators, down in Utah because they're very, very big down in Salt Lake. Like, you go into public places and hotels. I noticed there were some in the gym at a
Hmm.
hotel, and I'm just like, and I asked somebody there at Pluralsight, I'm like, "What's with all these white noise machines?" And they're like, "Oh, it's the greatest thing ever." And Pluralsight headquarters has white noise machines in it.
Oh,
And it's like
okay.
it
That's cool.
calms you down. It brings, basically just kind of brings your stress level down. So I got one for my room, so at night I turn it
Mhm.
on, and my wife's not as big a fan of it as I am. She still
Yeah.
thinks it's weird, but that white noise actually helps with our sleep. It's just kind of a
So it actually like makes us. I mean, you can hear it. You can hear it, right?
yeah, yeah, it
And
kinda
then
sounds like a fan running,
yeah,
basically.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we have, like, an air purifier, and it kinda makes some noise, I wonder, like, it doesn't play any sort of, like, frequencies, does it? Like, no?
No,
Alright,
not the one that I have.
I
It
don't know.
just has kind of a volume to it,
Okay.
like louder or quieter, but
Well, I didn't know they had that in, like, office buildings, I guess.
yeah, and, apparently it kind of relaxes everybody in the office when they turn them off. At one point, I guess at Pluralsight, they turned them off, just to kind of see, and everybody noticed immediately, like, "Hey, we want those back. We like that."
That's interesting. That's kinda cool. Hmm. Well, and that kinda goes in hand with bringing down, stress levels, so hopefully you don't feel so tight and your back doesn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
You see
If
here.
there's any other questions here?
Yeah, let us know if you have any questions or anything in particular to your back, or anything like that. And then it looks like we're going to be doing these for a few more Fridays if people want to tune in again. We'll be talking about things like nutrition for brain health and energy, eye health. I think that's an important thing to talk about. 'Cause, we're sitting and staring at this digital screen a lot of the time. And then stress management, we'll be talking a little more about stress management and things you can do to bring down the stress levels. Um, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about different exercises you can do for your back, but I think uh, kind of balancing out muscle groups, antagonist muscle groups, there's this balance that's hard to find, but between strength and flexibility and mobility, um, but one thing's for sure is that sitting for prolonged periods of time doesn't really help with that.
Yeah, definitely, and working in your core muscles a lot, and that's something that I'm kind of lacking on right now because I'm super busy. I haven't been doing enough core exercises, but that's another thing that my doctor said, it seems counterintuitive. He's like, building up your core, doing, sit-ups, things like this, it seems really counterintuitive. Like, why would that help your back to use the heck out of it? But building up the core muscles and keeping your core muscles stronger actually does hold things together a lot better.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, you wanna strengthen your abdominal muscles as well. There's a lot of a lot of times we don't, when you're walking around, your back is more activated compared to your front. So it's good to have a balance between those muscles. So things like planks, sit ups if you want to do those. But yeah, strengthening the abs is super important. There's another this reminds me of another thing. Quadratus lumborum. It's like a deep muscle in your back that's connected to your spine, and sometimes it's good to strengthen that muscle as well. And that's kind of considered part of the core muscles. But strengthening your core, protect kind of in essence protects your spine. Um,
And so we have a question here. Every time I wake up at midnight, I end up debugging something for 3 hours. I can't resist it. Any advice?
well, I think I well, if it I mean, I would say it's best to wait until morning to do something like that. Um, but I do think it is important to avoid light, especially artificial light, especially blue light that's emitted from our screens and stuff, because that kind of signals to the brain that it's time to be awake. So that can be kind of confusing to the brain. So I try to not get any sort. I wear a sleep mask when I sleep, just because I don't want any like artificial lights coming in um, from whenever I'm sleeping. But especially in those night when you should be sleeping, like depends on when you go to sleep. I personally think going to sleep earlier is better. It works for me better, and then waking up earlier with the sun, that kind of works for me. But when it's nighttime and when it's dark out, especially, it's good to not be exposing yourself to all these kinds of artificial light. So I guess if you can hold off until the morning, it's probably best for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I've been there many times where, I'll be in bed, maybe not even asleep yet, and be like, "Oh my gosh, I figured out the problem." And
Yeah,
then I get up and it's the same thing, and I never thought about it. It's probably that blue light that's waking us up as you do that to uh keep you awake, once you come in. And I'll just open up my laptop and do something real quick, or I'll go to my desk and I'll fix this bug, and then yeah, next thing you know, it's a couple hours
yeah,
later. That
yeah,
that
definitely.
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if something pops in, like if you think you have a solution or an aha moment while you're sleeping, I guess it's best to, in my opinion, to just write it down with a pen or pencil on paper, maybe. If you think you're gonna forget, I feel like I have good ideas, but then I forget them by the time I wake up. So then maybe they weren't that great of an idea. I don't know.
Yeah, that is actually a good tip to just write it down with pen and paper and and, uh, and then tackle it in the morning. And yeah, that was another thing I was gonna ask you about is like sleep patterns, getting up early. Do you think that makes a difference? Like, say, if you start at 8 o'clock and you're out of bed at 7:45, do you think that would be different for uh, back health than somebody that wakes up? Like I like to wake up a couple hours earlier than I start.
Yeah, yeah. For in my experience, I'm the same way. And for me also, I don't like a lot of people work out right away in the morning, and I think that's great. Like if you can get in and work out before you work, that's good. But I would kind of give yourself a little bit of time while your discs are like super hydrated. Because well, it just in my experience, I can tell like my back isn't quite ready if I wake up and immediately get into something right away, or even just immediately sit at my desk and start working. I need to kind of time to loosen up and to whatever before the day starts. But yeah, and I think yeah, I nowadays I like to wake up a little earlier. It's just a nice to have a little peace and quiet as well.
Yeah, and that reminds me of another question. Have you done any like mindfulness or meditation type things?
You
Do you
know,
have any
I
experience with that?
meditation is something I really people always tell me about it and all the benefits of it, and I'm sure there's some truth to that. It's just something that I haven't really gotten into yet, and I've been meaning to. I do things like breath work, and things like journaling and stuff like that for stress and health and whatever. But meditation is something I need to try to get into. What about you, Jeremy? Do you do any sort of meditation?
No. I've tried it and I've had struggles with it. My brain just kind of races
Yeah. Yeah,
far
that's
too
and I
fast.
yeah,
So,
that's why I think I need to do it because my mind just, it's hard for me to sit still and not think about much. My brain just starts racing. And I feel like there's something to be said about I think it's a skill to like, be able to calm yourself and kind of block out all of your worries. And I think meditation would probably help a lot with that.
yeah, definitely, and yeah, now that you say it, my mind racing, that's what meditation is supposed to cure, so,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was doing this test, athletic testing or whatever, they were, measuring my heart rate, my resting they wanted to measure my resting heart rate and, like, metabolic rate. So I was sitting there and I was just supposed to, like, breathe like deeply, whatever, focus on my breathing, not really anything else. And as I was sitting there, because it was like for 20 minutes, and as I was sitting there, I was really struggling to not think about anything. My mind was just all over the place, and I was kind of disappointed in myself for not being able to settle down.
Yeah, it can be pretty tricky sometimes.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm looking. I wasn't sure if I missed any questions. Oh, okay. Do you get regular chiropractic care or prefer self adjustment? This is a question from Dylan. This was a little while ago. Not sure if he's still on, but in my hmm, I don't know. I do go to a chiropractor every once in a while. It's more for like acute issues I have, but the chiropractor he showed me a study about how it can be beneficial to get somewhat of regular adjustments in terms of back health. Um, I I'm not sure. I I think the guy. I think he's. I think it has some truth to it. But I don't know enough about it. I found a chiropractor that does other types of things like Graston and active release technique and things like that. More kind of tailored to what I was looking for to kind of overcome. Like if I had like a shoulder injury, I didn't necessarily need an adjustment. I kind of wanted him to focus on like the range of motion and things like that. But for your back, another thing for your back is if you do have herniated discs, it's probably not a great idea to go to the chiropractor. Um, right, right away or anything. But like I said, I don't really know a ton on the subject. I think that'd be a good question for your doctor or a chiropractor. Have you gone to the chiropractor at all? I go to okay. I go to I see another comment here. I go to a chiropractor regularly. Um, okay, yeah, I know people like It seems like there's a bunch of mixed feelings about chiropractors. Some people really like them. Some people don't like the techniques. I've Yeah, I think I guess I'll give my opinion kind of is that it's good to be in alignment. But then after you are in alignment, you kind of want to strengthen the muscles or like surrounding just in your body so you maintain better alignment. But yeah, if it's something that works for you, like, keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it is a controversial subject, it seems
Yeah.
like, but, I've gone to chiropractors before. It sounds like your experience, same as you, like, if I have a specific problem or things are really hurting and I just kinda wanna get adjusted and then, get the wrestling moves put on me and things
Yeah.
like that, and, uh,
Right.
and yeah, it's pretty helpful, but I don't do it regularly, but I do think it helps a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, the study my chiropractor it referred to, it looked interesting. It showed like, people that went to the chiropractor who had some kind of back pain definitely experienced less back pain when they went to the chiropractor regularly. Um, And I know, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's becoming more accepted in like the mainstream medical area. Because I feel like more health insurance companies are accepting like chiropractors and things like that. So that's if it works, that's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a form of physical therapy in a way, like, and I've done physical therapy actually recently, um, and it's that same kind of thing. It's just kind of aligning, and then being able to talk with that person, like being able to talk with your chiropractor, or physical therapist, and get kind of tips and things like that. That's also valuable. Because a lot of times a chiropractor will tell you, here are some things that you need to do.
Yeah.
Here's some things you need to focus on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the chiropractor I see, they always send me out with some exercises I can do to work on whatever issues I have, and it's not just about adjusting my skeleton. It's about trying to get to the root of the problem, whatever that might be.
Yeah, definitely. So it's good to see some feedback from folks that are enjoying it.
Okay.
And yeah, we're open for any questions if anyone wants. We're just about ready to wrap it up here, I think. And
Yeah.
so yeah, good time to drop in some questions if folks have them. I saw a question about Chat GPT. We're not going to address that one here. However, we do live streams. David Neal and I do live streams here on this channel, and if you want to pop in during one of those, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out one of these like Chat GPT and back pain. Somehow bring those together. I'm sure someday we'll have an answer there.
Yeah, there's probably some tie in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess no one else has any questions. You have any final thoughts?
Um, yeah, I mean, to sum up, um, move. I think movement is I mean, there's all kinds of important things, but movement's one of the most important things. Getting good sleep's important. Getting good nutrition is important. Not being afraid of healthy fats is important in my opinion. This is all my opinion, by the way. Having good posture, I think, is important, and staying hydrated is very important as well. Um, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of summing it up. And, yeah, I love doing these, and I look forward to doing the next one. What's the next one on?
I believe eye health is the next one, but
Is it eye health, or is it stress management?
um,
Got switched. Well, either
eye
way.
health is the
Okay.
next one.
Okay, cool. I like that subject. That should be fun. Actually, yeah, I usually wear glasses when I'm at the computer. I guess I can explain more about that next time.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that would be next week, and then we have stress management and nutrition for brain health and energy. So
Yeah, that'll be fun.
all kinds of good stuff here for us tech folks
Yeah.
who a lot of us are at home now, and,
Yeah.
and we've had a couple of years, but there's still some adjustment to
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think
learning.
you always have to be I'll always have to be intentional about my health and fitness and taking breaks. Like you said, the Pomodoro technique is a really good one to make sure you're taking breaks. But yeah, taking breaks is important because you can get so into your work, and your whole body is under tension, and it's not good for anything. It's good to take breaks, step away. When you come back, you'll be refreshed and even more productive.
Yeah, definitely. I challenge everybody who's watching this right now, after we stop the stream, uh, to take a small walk or get up and stretch or something. I know I will, but
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, walking. Yeah, I'm gonna take a walk outside. I love doing that.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I'll see you next week for the eye health one, and
Awesome.
we'll have some cool stuff to share. And we are recording this. I know somebody asked about that earlier, we are recording this and we will make it available later also in case you came in towards the end or something like that. So
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on, Jeremy, and it was nice talking with you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.